I'm James Galbraith. I teach economics at the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm here as a participant in the dialogues. I was a panelist on the first panel, which dealt with unemployment, work, and migration. And this was a very interesting experience. The panel itself began with a public discussion of the goals and objectives, the recommendations that the panel might come up with, and that was distilled, I guess, by the moderators into a document that we received before the meeting began this morning. And over the course of the meeting, we refined it in an interactive process with an audience of, I think it's up to a couple of thousand people who were in the room, which, as you might imagine, is a very challenging process. It obviously required a great deal of skill from the moderator. At the end of the session, though, it was apparent that, in fact, the process had achieved a certain substantive result. Now, it was very interesting for me because at the beginning, in the private meeting, which was held in the room that I'm standing in now, I had raised the concern that there had not been in the originally drafted recommendations a sufficient taking account of the need for the participation of working people themselves in the conditions of work and in setting their own wages. In other words, there really hadn't been any explicit mention of trade unions, collective bargaining, minimum wage laws, the retirement policies, social insurance, this kind of thing. Although it was covered under, let's say, broadly under one of the recommendations. And that concern was shared by a number of other people on the panel, and over the course of the public discussion, we managed to reframe a number of the recommendations, bringing them together in such a way as to present to the larger audience a clear opportunity to express how they felt about this particular thematic issue. And it turned out that when the votes were taken, this was the one that took the largest, got the strongest endorsement. Almost 80% of the people in the room put it out on their recommended list, and that meant that it had the strongest endorsement of any recommendation. So at the end of the day, the outcome of the panel were 3 recommendations, one of which was a strong statement about the right of working people to play a role in the conditions of their work. The second one had to do with education and the role of education in fostering sustainable development. And the third one, which was basically the choice of a vote by the panel at the end of the session, dealt with the rights of and treatment of migrant workers. And so for a panel that was intended to address questions of work, of unemployment, of jobs, and of migration, I think at the end of the day it did that pretty well and was able to present to the heads of state, to the next stage in the process, a message that had some clarity and some focus and some power to it.